We are here to do the 5th pick draft. And one thing I want to do up front is clarify some rules, because that's something we haven't done at the beginning of any of these. And then there are, questions about rules throughout that end up happening. We're taking turns creating the best possible team using the All-NBA format: a center, 2 forwards, 2 guards, and then 2 bench players that can't be the same position. We're going to do a snake draft with an order that we'll determine in just a few seconds. I guess a few minutes, I should say. As far as positional designation, first of all, you have to say what position you're putting the player at when you draft them.
Yes.
And as far as what we determine the player is, if it is reasonable among the 3 of us that have watched basketball for the better part of our lives and, aren't trying some chicanery. So I'll use an example. Kevin Love, even though LeBron James considers him a center, or their best lineups were with him as a center in the playoffs, is a forward. Like that is not a controversial thing. The last draft with Chris Bosh in Toronto, he was used as a center. And then in Miami, although he was better suited as a forward, he was a center.
And that would be like Garnett in this draft. I would stick a power forward or a center. He played center for the Celtics, played power forward mostly for the Wolves.
But you just have to say it before.
I understand.
Yes.
Okay. And just to clarify, you said guards and forwards. You didn't say point guard wings, right?
No, we're not.
2 guards, 2
Ben
forwards.
Falk did not
center.
create this draft.
No.
Yes. 2. Yeah. It's the All-NBA format. A guard, 2 guards.
Some
2
crappy
forwards,
center is going to get drafted.
2 guards, 2 forwards, a center. I would argue there are 3 centers available.
It's a rough center draft.
So this should be an interesting draft. Some trivia about the 5th overall pick. There have been 10 Hall of Famers, 2 MVPs, obviously Kevin Garnett and Charles Barkley. 8. Wait, did Walt Clyde Frazier ever win MVP?
He did not. He finished, I believe he finished 3rd one year and maybe 4th another. I could look that up though.
There you go. 8 players with at least 100 accrued win shares over their career. And then the trivia I'll ask these guys: 6 All-Stars this century. Can you name them?
6 All-Star 5th picks this century?
Yes, this century.
So since the year 2000. So Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade's 1, 13-time All-Star.
DeMarcus Cousins.
4-time All-Star.
Kevin Love.
5-time All-Star.
Kevin Garnett.
Drafted in 1997. Drafted in 1995.
Darius Garland was an All-Star this year, wasn't
That's right. That's 1-time All-Star.
But wait a minute. So, I thought you meant
I said this century.
Yeah, but drafted this century, or were they an All-Star this century?
No, drafted this century.
Oh, that was a.
How many are we missing?
2, because you got Garland.
Yeah. So you said Wade, Love, Cousins, and Garland. So there's 2 more.
Was Jay Rich an All-Star?
No, I did. I was curious. In fact, the only accomplishment he has in his career as far as basketball reference accolades, because they don't put slam dunk champion on there, is an all rookie team that he made.
Oh, Trae Young. Missed him.
Trae Young, 2-time All-Star.
How could we disrespect Devin Harris?
Devin Harris, 1-time All-Star. Well done, John. And then last but not least, since 1980, there have only been 9 NBA champions taken with the 5th overall pick.
Since 1980.
Since 1980. There's only been
5?
Only 9 NBA champions.
Okay. Love.
Kevin Love, 1-time champ. Kevin Garnett, 1-time champ. Dwayne Wade, Kevin Love, Kevin Garnett.
Ray Allen.
Garnett's teammate. Also Dwayne Wade's teammate.
Mike Miller, Dwayne
Wade's teammate.
How many we got left?
4.
Scottie Pippen,
Michael Jordan's teammate.
Wasn't Mitch Richmond on one of those?
Mitch Richmond. Steve Smith. Back-to-back years in which Steve Smith won it as part of the roster in 03 with the Spurs, and Mitch Richmond won it in 02 with the Lakers when they defeated the Nets.
Are we missing anybody?
We're missing one more. Won it with the Big 3 Miami Heat. Is now a coach.
Juwan Howard.
Good call. That's a good
Well done, Benji. So now we get to do one of my favorite parts, and we use this convoluted high-tech system to decide the draft order. We're going to play some high card draw. Okay. So we will go first. Benji, as the guest of honor, first of all, do you trust me to shuffle correctly and not pull any chicanery in rigging this draft order?
I trust you with my life.
Whoa, that's way too much responsibility, but I'll take it.
I do.
Benji, your card is a 3.
God.
Wow.
Damn.
Your life died. John, I'm going to shuffle again.
Where does Jaden Ivey go in this draft? That's what I want to know.
Oh, I guess we'll find out.
If he gets picked. Is he eligible to get picked?
Yes. We've done current. We've done current. I don't know why you would take him. What are you basing it off of? What are you basing it off of?
Well, it depends how you think he's going to do.
But so
I thought about taking Banchero, I think, in the first pick draft.
We should clarify the way we've been doing it is based off of
there are a lot of good players
off of their careers. You're basing your pick. That's why Scotty Barnes got taken, because at least you've got a rookie of the year there.
Oh, maybe I'm confusing that with I thought about putting Banchero pretty high up in my trade value.
Yeah, then that's what it is.
I changed the rule.
I reserve the right to select Jaden Ivey and then laugh at you all in 12 years.
You can do that.
The voting will have happened way before that, Benji.
All right, what's my card?
John's card is a queen. John, you might end up with the 1 pick here.
I don't know if I want the first pick, but
I do. I have a strong take.
Oh, okay.
You have a strong take.
Oh, well, I guess we'll find out.
Gracious.
My pick will be a Jack. Wow, okay. Just missed. All right. So John has the 1 pick. I have the 2 pick, and Benji has the 3 pick.
So I'm just going to talk this out and say the obvious, which is that Walt Frazier's not making it back around to me. And this is a draft that will be voted on by the Twitter followers of the Knicks Film School Twitter account, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Largely Knicks fans.
Draft with your heart.
Yeah, but that would be disingenuous to take Walt Frazier first overall in a first pick draft.
Listen, this draft is inspired by the big picture. Amanda Dobbins drafts with her heart. Okay.
That's movies, which are not objective.
Well, objective in the eye of the beholder, John, is whether or not you think you should take Clyde Frazier first overall.
I'm not. I'm going to honor the exercise, and I'm going to. I could take Garnett at center, right?
You can.
I thought we said we couldn't because he's a forward.
Nope. What?
I thought we said, okay, so let's clarify again at the
KG, top. I said he would be the box example. Yeah, he played center. We haven't
done it that way. What we've done it is because he didn't play center. Kendrick Perkins played center. We went with the majority of his. He played some. Were there lineups where he played center? But that's the point. We're going with the lineup the position you played the majority. John tried to use with the first pick and he tried to put LeBron a guard.
I accept that. Let's put John in the corner. Fine. Forward it is.
Kevin Garnett is a forward.
Done. I accept.
I still got to take him.
Okay. So Kevin Garnett is the first overall pick.
I think it's the right pick. I think I'm not as high historically on Kevin Garnett and as I think consensus is.
Mm-hmm.
I think at his best, Barkley was better than Garnett. But because I think at his best, Barkley was I don't know, was his second best offensive player of the 90s. I feel like it's conversation, second, third, whatever. And Garnett, I don't think was ever that sort of offensive force. Defensively, he was obviously one of the greatest players in NBA history. But I think Garnett has earned the right to be the first pick in this draft.
Okay. Kevin Garnett 1. Benji, you were saying you had a take about the.
I'm going to let you go first before I did my take.
Oh, so that's right. It's my pick. It's my pick.
That means his best player is still on the board.
You guys aren't ready for.
Oh boy.
For my Tom Thacker take.
Oh no. So as I talk this out, I actually don't think it's all that close. And I have gone I'm going with a new strategy for these drafts in that I don't care what the voting is. I'm going with the players I want anymore.
Good for you, Dob Mob.
Exactly. Cool. Twitter, you win. I as long as I'm happy with my team, I'll be happy.
I don't have any of this scar tissue. This is great. I come in fresh.
Hold on. What are the standings?
We each won one of each. We each won the first, second, and third pick.
And then who won the fourth?
I don't know who won the fourth. I can look it up while Benji's going.
Look, I would like to know that.
So I'll go Charles Barkley. It should be unassailable. And as somebody who saw, I actually think there's an argument, like you said, John, for the one pick, but
I think there is too.
Regardless of whether there should or not, I'm happy with him being my one pick. I saw enough as far as rewatching games in the 90s and enough of his, like the end of his prime during that 97, 98 Rockets season that this is a guy in a clinching game 7, averaged put up 44, 22, and 7 in a game 7. We would put those numbers all over every graphic you could possibly think of on NBA Twitter. If that was a thing, we would point to this moment and be like, oh, he's him, Charles Barkley, a mound rounder rebound. And I hope that there are not too many young people watching this that say the guy, the fat guy from TNT is your second pick. And yes, he was a problem in the 90s.
I think the biggest knock on Barkley is he let go of the rope a little bit too early. I mean, there were, especially when you're talking about guys like Garnett and like Duncan, who we obviously took very, very high in our first pick draft. Like those guys kept it going at such a high level, deep into their 30s. Whereas Barkley really, like, he made one All-Star team in Houston. Did he really deserve to make that All-Star team? I don't know. But like 32, 33, he was kind of, and then there were some other years in there in Philly where maybe he wasn't giving it, everything he had. So I think there was more meat on the bone for Barkley, but I agree that these are the top 2 picks. But I have a feeling Benji may disagree.
John, this is the last thing on Barkley. The didn't deserve All-Star games, I think, are the most important. Like Tim Duncan didn't deserve to make probably his last 2, but out of respect, because have to. Those guys make extra all-star teams. As a result, Dwayne Wade is probably an 11-time All-Star. And those last 2 are because we're making sure Dwayne Wade makes it to the All-Star team because he's Dwayne Wade. Barkley has that same type of connotation or designation. Benji, I am very excited to find out what this take you have is. So the floor is yours.
You guys.
Uh-oh.
You Knicks fans.
Oh, I love it.
Drag us, Benji.
Charles Barkley. Let's talk about Charles Barkley for a second.
Oh, no. What's up?
Let's talk about the round mound of rebound.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about his playoff successes, John.
Oh, God.
I mean, he had a pretty great finals against Michael Jordan.
93 season was great. Let me ask you this. Did he ever have a 36, 19, 7, and 5 steals in a game 7?
I will cut you off right there. I think this is the right pick here.
Hold on, he hasn't made it yet. He answer the question, yes or no?
No, he never did.
Has anyone ever had a 36, 19, 7, and 5 steal game in game 7 of a finals?
And it wasn't just that. He had so many other great playoff games, big playoff games too.
Still haven't answered the question. Yeah, no.
You're talking Walt Clyde Frazier, my friends. He made 7 All-Star games, and he had a very short prime. I am willing to admit it was a short prime. Different time, different era, 70s basketball. Guys didn't play for as long. We're talking about a specimen of a guard. What would Walt Clyde Frazier look like today? You talk about initiators, Donovan Mitchell. We brought him up earlier, maybe. Talk about a guy that could have run an offense in today's day and age with spacing, with his size and strength, his jump shot. Like, we're not talking about top 10 players of all time here in this number 5 draft. Like, they don't exist here.
No,
they're not. It's not close. Like, we're not taking, like, Clyde Frazier has a legitimate argument, I think, certainly to surpass Garnett. And I don't think Barkley's as far ahead as we're making him out to be. And considering the playoff heroics, which is what it's all about. And we're talking about one of the greatest playoff heroes of all time.
He's awesome.
I am proud to say I would have taken Walt Clyde Frazier first in this draft.
Wow.
And I am taking him here at number 3, and I'm thrilled to have him aboard.
I respect it. Plus, this was the best. I think this might have been. I'm curious where we go next. I think there's an argument this is the best pick to have in this draft.
Oof. So yeah, this is tough. Number 2 is tough.
I think there's I got a guy.
But considering who I already have at the guard spot,
That's okay.
I am going to go with perhaps the most versatile wing in the history of the National Basketball Association. I now have guarding the two best perimeter players that any of you have. One Walt Clyde Frazier and one Scottie Pippen. Now you tell me who's scoring on those guys. You tell me, because I think I just locked your butts up.
How about this? I think maybe without question, the fifth pick, the top of the fifth pick at least. I mean, pretty good defensive accolades. I mean, Garnett, Frazier, Pippen, are they 3 of the 10 best defensive players in NBA history? 10 of the 15, or 3 of the 15 greatest? They're somewhere in that conversation for sure.
You're forgetting someone too, who I'm not going to say.
I'm just saying
to the vest, who's also phenomenal defensively.
But I think those three out of 4, unlike except for the guy that Andrew took, of course. Very good. Speaking of Andrew,
Benji, I love you.
Thank you.
Well done.
It's over already. I'm just letting you know.
it might. I got to tell you, that's coming out of the gate strong.
It is. It is. I love the take. I love the passion. Can I take you back in time a bit, Benji?
Please do.
Boy.
9 or 10 days ago when you were on this very podcast with me.
I thought you were going to take us back to like 1959.
I was expecting
more recent, something that John actually remembers. So about 9-10 days ago, we did like a fun round table, me, you, and Jeremy, where we asked the questions that we've always wanted to have answers to. And Benji, I asked you about how important is defense, and you made sure to emphasize just how more important offense is in the NBA.
I'm sorry. I forgot Clyde Frazier was a inept offensive player.
No, who is he? It's funny that you're pointing to how important the defensive end of the floor is, and yet you want to talk about playoff success. How about a guy that was a 3-time champion, not a scrub on the defensive end, but as you mentioned, how important offense is, a scoring champion.
Chalk.
And
so chalk.
It is chalk. Yes, this was going to be the 5 first picks in this draft. Yes, unless somebody surprises with Vince Carter, this was going to be the first 5 picks in this draft. And then, I mean, I hate to do this, but you want to talk about playoff heroics? How about a guy that averaged 34 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists on 46% shooting for a 6-game series that, regardless of what, Tim Donaghy and his friends were doing, was able to win Miami a championship and create a narrative for the next 15 years. That is nonsense, but yet still people believe in it. I'm going with Dwayne Wade with my next pick.
What nonsense narrative?
You mean the one where the Heat just have this magical culture that is no way at all performance enhancing drugs, that just gets people in shape all of a sudden, when really all they did was draft Dwayne Wade, who just happened to be friends with LeBron and just happened to go to the right city, even though they wanted Chris Bosh instead.
Fair.
Okay. Dwayne Wade, my next pick. Really wish Dwayne Wade had traded Donovan.
I will say that the Wade and Barkley pick and roll terrifies me a bit, but
pretty good.
We have the personnel to handle it. So John's got KG backing it up, so he'll be fine.
I have KG backing it up, and I should have.
Curious where you go with this, John.
I should have foreseen that this would be the way that this would end up. Interestingly enough. I am going to make KG's first teammate here, his actual teammate on Boston. I will go Ray Allen with my first pick.
They hate each other. Chemistry is broken.
Listen, when the Celtics were healthy, undefeated, they would have won every championship in the history of NBA basketball had they just stayed healthy for all that time. No, I mean, again, Ray
you just sounded like every person from Boston that I know. Well, without actually sounding like Boston.
Like Ray is an interesting figure historically because amongst basically all players that get put into or that are in the Hall of Fame conversation. There is as wide a discrepancy between his All-Star appearances. He's on 10 All-Star teams, and his all NBA appearances. He only made 2, which basically is another way of saying that for the vast majority of his career, he was somewhere between the 15th and 25th best player in the league, which is very different from being a top 5 or even a top 10 player. I think that's notable, especially since there are players on the board still who were certainly top 10, maybe even top 5 for portions of their career. That said, this guy, my God, he played in 171 playoff games and had a pretty good run. Won obviously 2 championships, made it to 4 All-Star games or four finals. Yeah, I think Ray Allen's the obvious pick here. The next pick now, I mean, I'll say his name because you mentioned him before. I think the chalk pick here is Vince Carter.
Yes.
I
don't think it's an obvious pick, though. I got to be honest. I don't think it's an obvious pick.
I have never been a big Vince guy, as anyone who's heard me, talk about him before knows. I think there should be a longer. Well, I shouldn't say that. In the NBA, or the Basketball Hall of Fame, where like participation trophies are like the norm, and everybody gets in. The fact that Vince Carter played and hung on long enough to accumulate, I think didn't he get up to 25,000 career points somewhere, whereabouts, something along in that range. It's going to get him in, even though he made 2 All NBA teams, and like a lot of those All-Star appearances were people voting for, him because of reasons that didn't have to do with like on-court production. So now that I've bashed the guy, do I want to take him?
You're underselling early Vince Carter.
There was a moment where he was maybe one of the top 10 players in the league.
I don't think there's a maybe. Granted, the league was figuring out who was next after Michael, and he just happened to have his unassailable peak between 2000 and 2005. That peak is 24 a game on like decent efficiency. You want to talk about going like recontextualizing numbers? Guys had 40% from 3 on 4 attempts in that stretch. We didn't care about that yet, but All
right, I'll take Vince, and I will take him at. Let's see.
That's the other part. You could take him at forward or guard. He is reasonable to say forward or guard.
I will take him at the forward spot.
So you have Ray at guard, Vince at forward, KG at forward. So you're done with forwards.
Yes. No, you can take
starting unit.
Yeah, you can go to your bench first, or before filling up other positions. Bench.
That would be silly.
Or it's strategy.
Here's what I'll say with Ray and Vince too is you don't got to worry about offensive fit. Like those are 2 guys who can play with anybody. They can space the floor. The cool thing about Vince Carter is that as much as I agree with you that his like star years were underwhelming, like he should have been better than he was, his later years were extremely impressive. That he was able to. It's very rare that a star like that can kind of tone down his usage to that extent and be a super helpful role player and really just like become a catch and shoot 3-and-D guy, basically, which is what he was with Dallas. And he deserves a lot of credit for that. So I do like the fit. Now, I don't know how you're creating good offense right now, but
I'll get a
could use a table
eventually.
There are a lot of point guards. There are good point guards in this draft.
Guards are loaded in this draft. If Dwayne Wade wasn't unassailable, I was thinking of. Honestly, I was hoping there would be 2 forwards that got back to me, and it didn't work out. But regardless, it's my pick. And being someone that's in Queens right now and has kind of started to put roots down here, I've realized I have to gain an appreciation for Run DMC. Christmas in Hollis. And something else I have appreciation for is Run TMC from the 90s. Yeah, I went a long way for that one, John.
No, you reached.
I really did.
You really reached.
Anybody who appreciates that, thank you. Anybody that doesn't, I don't care. This is a man that won the Rookie of the Year in 1989, 6-time All-Star, from 93 to 98, folks. So 6 straight years on the All-Star team. We joke about that he didn't win a championship. And unfortunately, and I've honestly had to do this myself in showing a little more respect for when people call him the worst Hall of Famer ever, where they
I actually don't agree with that, but
well, so just like that's the bar. If Mitch Richmond's a Hall of Famer, then we have to let this person in. Like he's the low bar. Yeah, this is a guy that, aside from making all rookie, made 5 all NBA teams, 3 seconds and 2/3. I'll go with Mitch Richmond with my next pick, and I will put him at guard.
And just real quick, like he didn't get the respect early on, I think, on those early Sacramento teams. But if you look, like you want to talk about a guy who came out of the gates swinging, his rookie year, he put up 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists a game, plus a steal. And like it like right away, like his first 3 years in Golden State, like all of them were like good years. He didn't make the All-Star team in any of those years. And those were like, Mitch is good.
I forget who it was that we were talking about in one of these drafts, but like guys get knocked for their playoff failures during times when like there's just better teams out there, and Mitch Richmond is one of them. And just like somebody had to be really good during the regular season and lose in the first round. That was just the nature of it. And this is before player empowerment. So he never demanded a trade to another place or, pick swaps and all these other things weren't.
He only made
part of it.
He only made one playoff series in Sacramento. And
right.
They lost the first round. Yeah.
But like, okay. So point is maybe that's actually worse, but regardless, like
the teams
need to be guys that were really good during the regular season. Then,
I think he's probably a slightly richer man's version of Bradley Beal,
eventually traded for.
Eventually. Oh, I know this. Oh my God. A young player
to Washington for.
Oh, wow. Chris Webber.
There you go. And that created what the Kings were in the early 2000s. By the way, for those who haven't watched it yet, I mentioned him earlier, Tim Donaghy, the untold documentary that's on Netflix right now. Oh boy, the NBA really better hope that nobody else watches it. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow. I can't wait to watch
so much indictment on that of the entire league and how they're more powerful than the mob, might be more powerful than Congress. I would be shocked if this episode actually airs because I'm somewhere sleeping with the fishes. Benji, you have 2 picks.
Oh, yeah. You guys are just getting the offense, just shooters out there. I mean, it's just you guys. First
every
of all,
pick he makes now.
Yeah, I really am.
Nobody yet has picked Sidney Moncrief.
Are you picking him?
Yes.
Okay.
Sidney Moncrief, criminally underrated historical basketball player.
Yep.
Made the all-defense team 5 times. Defensive player of the year twice. Probably a top 10 player in the 80s, maybe like I would say half the decade. You could probably a top 10 player in the league.
He deserved a look on the top 75. I'm not saying he should have gotten the top 75, but I remember when I was doing my list, I looked at him and his stats and his accolades, and I'm like, man, why is there not more conversation around him?
At peak offensively, and he's not, unless we think he was just a defensive player, averaged 26. It's a 4-year peak I selected. He averaged 21, 6, and 5 on 51% shooting. This guy was a monster, a complete player, did everything well, including defend. I think I have to take him at guard, even though I don't want to, because he's 6'4".
This is a draft where everybody's taking 3 guards. So
I think this
can be your second guard.
I got to take him at guard, but that's my guy. I'm going with Sid.
I'll just say 1983 awards voting. He finished 4th in MVP behind winner Moses Malone, 2nd place Larry Bird, 3rd place Magic Johnson.
Ever heard of him?
And finished 1 spot ahead of Julius Erving and 2 spots ahead of Alex English, another guy who's
criminally underrated historical basketball player.
Yeah,
it's why. Go ahead, Benji. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I would have taken him over Vince Carter. I think
that would have been fair,
probably. So I'm thrilled. Thank you for leaving me with Sidney Moncrief.
Let me add one thing
Please do.
This is why John mentions 1983. Not only was he top 5 in MVP, he was all defense. He was first team all defense, first team all NBA, and the defensive player of the year. And not to be outdone, he was first team all defense, second team all NBA, and finished 8th in MVP and the defensive player of the year the next season. And it's why when HBO tried to, as a narrative point in this Lakers show, be like, how could Jerry West want this scrub, Sidney Moncrief, when we could get Magic Johnson? Granted, Magic had a better career, was a better player than Sidney Moncrief.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't mean he was a scrub. That actually was he was evaluating a really good basketball player and a future Hall of Famer that, as Benji said, one of the better players in the 90s, just wasn't generational, which you like of the 80s. You just don't always see that when a kid is 18, 19, 20 years old. So,
yep. Yeah. So I'm thrilled with him. I get a second pick, right?
Yep.
I'm also now going to start sprinkling because I spent way too long focusing on like the 1947 to 60 drafts because I love that stuff.
Okay.
And like I spent less time like ranking who I'm going to pick here, and so I'm taking my time. And while Andrew's like talking and selecting, I'm like scrolling frantically.
We do favors like that where it's like,
I'm going to start sprinkling in some facts. I'm going to start sprinkling in some facts here. Here's a sick one. This is my favorite one. If I could find it. I mentioned Tom Thacker, the legend.
Oh my God.
The man, the myth, the legend. 1963, 5th overall selection. Here's a little trivia for you. There's only one individual who has won an ABA championship, an NBA championship, and an NCAA championship. Do you know who that man is?
That's Tom Thacker?
That man is Tom Thacker.
You better not be taking him.
He's not taking Tom Thacker.
Okay.
That is a pretty incredible stat. I'm definitely not taking him. But
3 points per game in his career.
Listen, Tom is a legend. Don't take it away from you. You try to win one of those, all 3 of those, man.
Touche.
That's unbelievable. All right, who am I taking?
0 for 3 so far.
Here I'm staying with I'm going to be the best defense in the history of the entire world. My second forward is going to be the great. If I could find it, I got some stats for him too over here.
I think I know where you're going.
Bobby Jones.
Jones. Wow.
Great defensive player.
Drafted in 1974. 6'9" forward, ultra versatile, 4-time All-Star, 8-time defensive first team. Won the championship with the Sixers a little bit later in his career in 83 as the 6th man. One of the great underrated defensive players of all time. I'm not really sure how anybody's ever going to score on my team. Just to repeat, I got Frazier and I got Moncrief in the backcourt. I got Pippen and I got Jones as my forwards. This is intense.
I actually hope people vote for you because this is I respect this. This approach a lot.
From an entertainment value, Benji should win this draft.
Everybody playing your team, any player on the court against your team is going to feel like Tony Kukoc in the 92 Olympics.
If you've watched any old Sixers tape, like those championship year in 83, Jones was such a great connector for them. Just such a brilliant basketball player. And that's the reason his numbers don't overwhelm you, but he made 4 All-Star teams in the NBA just because he was extraordinarily respected by his peers as somebody who just impacted winning. Maybe the best version of that player is Scottie Pippen, who I also have. So I'm doing pretty damn well. So there you go. Okay. Bobby Jones.
Well done. Well done, Benji.
Andrew, I think I know where you're going with this, but
do you?
I think I do.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Well, it's tough because like if I take a guard, I'm out. You know, like I can't take another guard the rest of the draft. There are a lot of guards remaining. Having said that, if I get a certain guard here, I'm forfeiting the draft, but I also think I'll have 3 pretty dynamic guards.
Take them.
Go
with your convictions.
You want me to lose the draft. So
go with your conviction.
So so here's my thought right now. There's a center that's really old that I made a bet with Jeremy. John will take him. I almost, for comedic purposes, need to make sure he gets taken by John. There are a couple forwards that I think will get back to me, and it's fine. There's a guy that, again, I'm conceding, but I'm also recognizing how good he is. And I've also done these Patreon pods with John for entirely too long, where he, from an analytics perspective, has sung the praises of this guy too much to where, yes, he's the worst defender in the NBA. Benji's right. I'm not going defense here. But while I am like worried about how to score on your team, Benji, I'm also perfectly fine competing against your team because you don't have someone that can take advantage of Trae Young the way I would like them to. So I will go with Trae Young.
I think Walt. I think.
I know he would. I figured it worked with the pick.
The Clyde disrespect on this pod is not something I expected.
I'm just saying, throw Trae back in 1969 or put Walt now, where like they actually run up and down the court, and who knows what would have happened.
Okay, JJ Redick.
Yeah,
relax. Now you're upsetting me.
I will go.
Now you're upsetting me.
Oh, by the way, Shohei Ohtani is the MVP. I'm totally joking. We don't need to open that can. We don't need to open that can. Trae Young will be my next pick.
Okay.
I'm putting it as a bench guard.
I am also going to take a bench player. I'm going to take Kevin Love, who you were going to take.
That's the other forward I was thinking of. I think there are other forwards available.
I mean, I don't think I need to say much about Kevin Love. He's kind of had like 3 different careers now. I mean,
fascinating career.
Yeah. I mean, he was one of the, 4 or 5 best assets in the sport at one time when he was young and he was on the Wolves and he was, leading the league in rebounding and just like, firing away from deep and doing everything. I mean, that dude was unbelievable. And then the Cavs traded for him and then he kind of transformed a little bit into something else. And he did it pretty seamlessly, might I add. And now it seems like he's in the middle of a nice final act for a team that's, I'm not going to say his name, but a team that's going to be pretty good, I think, next year at the very least. And then who knows, maybe he stays around and sticks around on Cleveland for the minimum after that, or for not a lot of money. It wouldn't shock me. But yeah, Kevin Love's just really, I'm obviously my team's going very much with the offensive end of the ball. So I will add Kevin Love to my Vince Carter, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett core. How about that? Kevin Love and Kevin Garnett. I like that combo.
Wait, is he a starting forward for you, Kevin Love?
No, he's coming off the bench because I put Vince Carter at forward.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
if you see the Google Doc, Benji, I have it, all the teams highlighted. So and John's also done with forwards, right?
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, the reason I put Vince Carter at forward is because I thought Love would get taken. I didn't think I'd have a chance to take him, so I might have done that differently. That's okay though, because there are still good guards on the board.
Very many good guards on the board.
There are very many good guards on the board. I could go in a couple of different directions here. I'm hoping. You want to do this? Man, there's names with more star potential, but I am hopeful the Knicks fans will value a name that hangs in the rafters in there. Not many names. There are not many names that hang in the rafters of Madison Square Garden. And people talk about those championship teams, and they oftentimes conveniently leave his name out when they talk about Clyde and Reed and DeBusschere and Bradley and Earl Monroe, even though he was just as big a part of those teams as anyone, and that is Dick Barnett. So I will take Dick Barnett. 5th pick in 1950.
Out of the 70 team, not really the 73 team as much, but the 70 team.
Yes, he was already on his. I think that may have been his last year in the league.
Yeah, I think he was almost gone then. But yeah, he was certainly an essential part of the championship squads. Great player. Trademark jump shot with the knees bucking up on him. Can't go wrong with Dick Barnett. Solid, and he's coming off your bench, right?
No, he's going to be starting for me at guard.
Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, so he's starting a guard next to Ray Allen. So I guess I'm going.
Yeah, good luck.
Who's running my offense?
This is a rough situation. Well, look, you could still get a table setter and you could end up benching Barnett. I think that might happen. I think you might end up putting Barnett on the bench, who some of his best work was done off the bench.
This is true.
This is a disciple of Tom Thibodeau. You don't need a real point guard. It's fine. Alec Burks is going to be his last pick. Alec Burks, not the 5th pick in the draft.
I think he was like the 13th pick in the draft.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just wait till we get to that draft. Okay. Jeremy, I lost because I'm going to take the guy that I thought for sure John would take.
Oh, we're getting our first center?
We're getting our first center. We're getting Easy Ed McCauley.
Good job by you.
7-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, 1958 NBA champ from 1951 until, let's go. Well, just for his career, 17-7 for his career from 1951 to 57, 18-8, excuse me. Guy that's kind of lost time, although made the 75th anniversary. No, didn't make the 70 NBA All 75.
Is a Hall of Famer.
A Hall of Famer, though. Easy Ed McCauley is where I'll go. Putting him at center.
And let me just tell you something. Some research I did. First of all, the only thing I'll say is he's 6'8". So your defensive acumen here is just your starting center is a 6'8". Let's just say white man from drafted in 1949.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, whatever. Let's talk. But we should be nice to Ed McCauley. He was a great player.
The only remaining player that hasn't been drafted with at least 100 accrued win shares, by the way.
I love that pick. There. How about this for some factoids? Who was Ed McCauley traded for?
To Boston?
From Boston.
Who?
Bill Russell. Ever heard of him?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
Really?
That's a good call.
Oh, wow.
That was whose pick was that?
56. So
this I don't remember, but I did see that he was traded for Bill Russell from the draft rights. That's pretty crazy.
That's nuts. Wow, that might be what he's most known for. Actually.
Who's the youngest NBA player to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Is it Ed McCauley?
Ed McCauley, 32 years old.
St. Louis. It was St. Louis's pick. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Who's the only Boston retired number to have not won a championship as a Celtic?
Is it Ed McCauley?
Ed McCauley, who also coincidentally beat the Celtics in the championship and Bill Russell in 1958, although he was more of a fringe player at that point.
That was a Bob Pettit. Was that? No, that wasn't Bob Pettit. It was Bob Pettit.
Yeah, Bob Pettit.
Bob Pettit.
That was the last year the Celtics didn't win for a very long time. And the crazy thing about McCauley is he shot like 50% from the field at a time when nobody shot 50% from the field.
Nobody did. Yeah. So 55% to be exact.
Great pick. All respect. Going back to 1949 draft pick. I love it.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done,
Benji.
sir.
You have 2 picks.
2 picks. Oh my God.
I love how well researched you came into this draft.
This is fantastic.
Only for 1949.
Thank you, Ed McCauley.
I spent 2 hours between 1949 and 1960, and then I forgot to do the rest. Okay, here we go.
There's a lot of additional talent on the board from those years, Benji.
There is. I have 2 guards and 2 forwards right now.
Mm-hmm.
Drafted,
including a great Nick, who I think probably deserves to be drafted. But
what are you talking about?
Listen, Raymond Felton was a great Nick.
That's not who I was talking about.
Okay, who should I draft here? Let's see.
Okay. Oof.
This is where it gets real. I will say this. I think
it gets really hard here.
This might be as challenging a portion of a draft as we've entered yet, because there are some current names that are like good, but they're so young and they're unproven.
Yep. I was actually going to take Trae Young here based on all the defense that I have, and Andrew snatched him from me.
Boom. I'll make a trade with you.
I'm going to draft. So here, this is I want him to. So for bench spots, I get 2 bench spots.
Yes.
And they could be any position.
Yes.
Can't be the same position.
Yeah. So you can't draft 2 bench guards.
Oh man.
Like you can only have 3 guards on your team and 3 forwards and so on and so forth.
Yikes. I'm going to take Steve Smith.
I like that.
With one of my picks. Underrated player. One of the great shooters of the 90s. A guy who averaged 20 multiple times. Just like a really great offensive player. Has a move named after him, for God's sake. The Smitty, which is a great little hesitation move. I was eyeing him. A lot of the good shooters have been taken. But I think with my backcourt being Moncrief and Frazier, kind of more old-fashioned shot creators, I think having a solid sniper around the 3-point arc is important. So that's my first pick is Steve Smith.
And what do you need? What is he needs? What?
I need a center and a bench.
A center and a bench.
But I'm not even sure if a bench is worth taking because I'm kind of fine with either of 2 centers available. So I don't feel compelled.
Benji, I could take a second center.
You don't want to because they're not good enough.
But then who are you taking at center?
So take the other guy. Take the other guy if you really don't care.
Who would the other guy be? Sheesh, this is hard. All right, I'm doing it.
John Kokak?
Oh, I need it. Okay, first of all, I'm taking Guy Rogers.
Okay.
So wait,
Talk about him.
I'm taking Steve Smith as a forward, by the way.
Okay.
We're cool with that? Okay.
That's great. Talk to us about Guy Rogers.
Whoa. Steve Smith, every year of his career on Basketball Reference is listed as a shooting guard.
I think he could take him.
Every year of his career on Basketball Reference is listed as a shooting guard. Even on that's what we've gone by on his Basketball Reference.
Oh, that is true. It is listed
listed as a shooting guard.
Okay.
So
listen,
this is your third guard if you're taking.
I really want to talk about Guy Rogers. All right, so I took Steve Smith, so I can't talk about Guy Rogers yet.
Talk about Guy Rogers if you want. Just you can't take him.
Well, now someone else is going to take him.
Hall of Famer Guy Rogers.
Amazing.
2 times. Well, John and I can't take guards. So if you want to talk about Guy Rogers. Oh, no, John can take a guard. So maybe you could talk him up. Take Guy Rogers.
I will not be taking Guy Rogers.
We'll talk about Guy Rogers.
Guy Rogers.
The most Guy Rogers has been ever mentioned in his life.
Guy Rogers. Guy Rogers.
Hall of Famer Guy.
21st all time in assists.
Really? Oh, wow.
All time. Pull up the highlight vids. That guy was throwing some cool passes in 1960.
For the San Francisco Warriors and then the Chicago Packers. Is that?
You guys might recall that one Wilt
Bulls.
Chamberlain.
And the Philadelphia Warriors.
You guys heard of Wilt Chamberlain?
Yes.
Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points once. You heard about that?
Yeah.
Did. Yeah.
Do you know who had 20 assists in that game?
Guy Rogers.
Wilt would never be Wilt without Guy Rogers. Guy Rogers
just be another
made
guy.
Wilt.
He would just he would have gone like in the third or fourth round of the third pick draft
3
if it wasn't
years,
for Guy
over
Rogers.
10 assists per game. Guy Rogers. I didn't want to let him slide. He's a legend. I love you, Guy. Guy Rogers deserves some props. All right, moving on. We got our Guy Rogers in. Can I take Walter Davis as a forward?
Yes, you can take Walter Davis as a forward. There's enough small forward / shooting guard years that.
Let me talk about Walter Davis.
Talk about Walter Davis. This is on my cheat sheet, so good.
Walter Davis, another criminally underrated player, and unfortunately, I think one of those guys in the late 70s, 80s who where drugs kind of took a lot away from one of the supreme talented players of that era. Still managed to make 6 All-Stars. Came into the league averaging 24 a game, won Rookie of the Year in 77. A phenomenal talent. You watch him, he looks like the dream of any guy, like kind of like what Jabari Smith looks like. He's not as tall, but like just like a specimen, just like a perfect basketball body, smooth as silk, a really excellent offensive player. So I love Walter Davis is the pick here as my backup forward.
I like the pick.
too.
Thank you.
All right, Andrew, your second to last pick. You need a guard and a forward, or could you? What do you?
I can't take another guard. I can't. I need to take a forward, and I could take a center.
Yeah, but you're probably going to take 2 forwards.
Am I?
I don't know.
If I take a center here, it puts you guys in an interesting spot.
Well, doesn't put me in a bad spot because I have 2 picks left. So
right, so you can. Well, it might quite literally scrooge Benji. If
I'm actually fine with 3 more centers, so you guys do it.
Really?
You do you.
Who are you? Oh, I know exactly.
Center's a center. Well, listen, my perimeter defense is so good, it doesn't even matter.
I forgot how much you loved LaSalle Thompson.
I am enjoying Benji's trivia session. So as a result, I'm going to take a guy who.
Good for you. Yes.
Who I've got a 5-year stretch here where he averaged 25 and 12 with close to 2 blocks a game on 50% effective field goal percentage. Not only a 4-time All-Star, but 2-time All NBA. I would go DeMarcus Cousins.
Come on. Seriously, you're going to do that to me?
I'm seriously going to do that to you. I don't see another forward where it's obvious for me.
You mean center? No, you're taking him at forward.
I can't take another guard. No, I'm putting him in.
You can't take DeMarcus center as a forward.
Boogie's a center. I'm taking a second center.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So you took a second center and it's DeMarcus Cousins.
Yes. I don't personally see a forward that's in my face obvious. I see like 6 guards on my cheat sheet here before I would take a center or a forward again.
Okay.
But I can't take a third guard. It's a 4th guard. So.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So now it's to me, and I have to take a center, and I I basically could either take two centers or I take a center and a forward.
Yes,
correct?
Correct.
Okay. The center I want to take is the guy. I don't know that anybody else on Basketball Reference has this many nicknames listed for him.
Yeah.
He's always going to be Chocolate Thunder to me, though, and that's Darryl Dawkins. I want to take Darryl Dawkins. He never made an All-Star team. He was obviously most known for his dunks that he named, I think, several of them. He's quite a character. If you ever heard an interview with him, screw it. I'll take Darryl Dawkins.
Darryl Dawkins, good pick.
Yeah, that was the guy I wanted. All right.
Yeah, I was. It's Chocolate Thunder, baby. Okay, and now I have a forward spot left to fill. Correct?
You have,
or I could take
forward or another center. Yes.
Would it be funny if I took another?
If we took four centers before Benji takes one, and he's just stuck rolling.
Who's the other center you're gonna take?
There's another center here that I could take.
I mean,
I don't want to say his name, but
no, I mean, I guess there is, but I feel like if you take this guy, even though you already have a center, it's a little nuts.
Go with what your heart wants, Sean.
Go with what my heart wants.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Pick what you'd like. Who cares what the Twitter says? Do what you want to do, boo boo. Okay.
But people are going to think I'm trying to screw over Benji.
I mean, it's quite literally what I was doing. So.
You're trying to screw over both of us.
That's right.
Really sick bastards, both of you.
The draft brings out the dark sides of all of us. Yes.
John, I know you love Sheldon Williams coming up, but I wouldn't take him here.
I'll go with Juwan Howard.
Oh, interesting.
Go with Juwan Howard.
You can't take Juwan Howard.
I thought I could take a forward.
No, you've Kevin Love as your other forward.
Oh, I have to take
you could only take a guard or a center. Yes.
Okay. So I will not be taking Juwan Howard. I shout out to Juwan Howard.
He's my next pick. So yeah, shout out to Juwan Howard.
Are you going to take him? Okay.
Yeah. He's the other forward that's available. That's why I jumped right in. I was like, you can't take Juwan Howard.
I'll take the other guy that I was thinking of between him and this guy. I'll take Jason Richardson.
Ooh. Okay.
Andrew, before you take Juwan Howard.
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, sorry, John, I don't know if you want to say something about Jason Richardson. Please do. Great dunker.
Yes. Outstanding dunker.
Great dunker. He tailed off towards the end of his career, but still averaged 17 a game for, he was 17, 5 rebounds, like almost 3 assists, above 50 effective field goal percentage for his career. Had a lot of seasons where he was really up there, but that was when he was more of a secondary player. But even not always some great teams, although he was part of the Phoenix teams. He obviously was part of the Golden State teams. He had a nice little career, Jason Richardson. I think doesn't get not going to get a whole lot of credit for it, but I think he had a nice career. Yes. Benji, what were you going to say?
Benji, what do you got?
Before you take Juwan Howard, can I convince you to take somebody else?
Sure.
You're taking a forward here?
Yeah, I have to. Are you trying to convince me of?
You should take Jack Marin then.
I should take Jack Marin then.
Jack Marin is objectively the correct pick. It would have been the correct pick for me.
Jack Marin was a stud.
2-time All-Star.
Convince me.
Jack Marin, 2-time All-Star, 28 point a game scorer. 1971 playoffs against the Knicks. That was when Earl Monroe was with Washington, and where they were arch rivals with the Knicks. Averaged 28-3 in that series when the Bullets went to the finals. Playoff performer.
Baltimore, by the way, Baltimore. Oh, no. Never mind.
No, you're right.
Baltimore. Go ahead.
Right. Just I think more credentialed than Juwan Howard and a more impacted winning at the NBA level to an extent to which Juwan Howard did not. But I'll allow you to do what you want.
That's great.
Just wanted to talk about him because he rocks.
Entire hope with including Benji was that he would be able to help add more context to these old people that John kept bringing up. I think you successfully did that because I wouldn't have even considered Jack Marin, the 1968 fifth pick overall. The problem, Benji, is that I started watching basketball in the 90s. So I have to go with my eye test that also confirms. Also, one of my favorite teams to do research on. It's one of my favorite 30 for 30s is the Michigan Fab Five, and what they meant, not just to what it changed to how college basketball is evaluated. No longer you expected to go to college and sit for a couple of years. You actually thought playing freshman was smarter because you get to start their clock sooner. And he's part of that. Granted, he's the third best player potentially on that team, but I think there's a conversation with him and Jalen Rose. Maybe not all time, but once you go to Jalen Rose's peak, but longevity, I would go Juwan Howard. And look, playoff success be damned. We're talking about from age 21 to age 27. Juwan Howard averaged 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists on decent efficiency. I will go with Juwan Howard. Not only a one-time All-Star, but a one-time All-NBA and a 2-time NBA champ. Granted, those two came mostly as the Udonis Haslem role.
I like it.
I like the pick. I don't actually like the pick, but I accept the pick.
You accept
much like the trade of the player that we're not going to say his name.
Okay,
Okay, so I got
your last pick.
I got to take a center.
You have to take a center. Yes.
And Cousins is off the board.
I think there's an obvious center here.
I think there's a hilarious center you can take.
So the one that I have next on my center board, and I hope I'm not missing somebody obvious, is Sam Lacey. But who am I missing?
Valanciunas.
Valanciunas.
Oh, hell no.
I figured.
Oh, get out of here.
No. Hell no.
Look, Sam Lacey made an all-star team.
Let me talk about Sam Lacey for a second.
Talk about Sam Lacey. He's your pick. Go for it.
She's got this.
Yeah, first of all, Sam Lacey, like I have a bias against like plotting centers in general, and that's not a player that I'm interested on this team in having, especially with my defensive vibe I got going. Sam Lacey, a much more standard 6'10", walked into the league as a double-double, made an all-star game. His number was retired by the Kings. And we're talking about a guy who really made an impact on his squad, averaged 2 blocks a game a couple times, like a real, your classic anchor defensively at the center position, will catch and finish when my guys get into the lane. I'm glad the other one you were thinking was Valanciunas. I thought I was missing somebody else. I would pick Sam Lacey over Valanciunas, but I'm open to arguments.
Talk about not a draft people typically think of as like one of the more stacked drafts in NBA history, but Sam Lacey's 5th pick in the 1970 draft. 4 guys ahead of him all made it to the Hall of Fame. Wow. Number 1 pick, Bob Lanier. Number 2, Rudy Tomjanovich. Number 3, Pistol Pete Maravich. And number 4, former MVP Dave Cowens. That's
a damn good draft.
Not a bad top 4. And then, as you said, Lacey, not in the caliber of those other
really solid
folks.
NBA starter for a lot of years and all-star. Yeah. I'm happy that I got him because for you, I'm glad I don't have Valanciunas. Here's another tidbit. Ready? John McConaughey was drafted in 1951. Didn't have much of an NBA career, but he was a founding member of Citizens National Bank.
Benji, I love you. I love that that's a stat that the
guy might be the richest on this list.
Might be the richest on this list. I would, all right, hold up. What's his name? John McConaughey?
I think he's dead.
No, but you can look up his net worth.
I don't know why that's not funny.
McConaughey.
Speaking of Sheldon Williams.
Go ahead. Keep talking. I'm going to look up John McConaughey.
You mentioned Sheldon Williams before in passing, 5th pick of the Atlanta Hawks. How bad was that pick? Of every 5th pick to play at least 300 NBA games, of which there were 56. He has the lowest scoring average ever. He's the only one of those 56 players to average fewer than 5 points a game, I believe.
That's not great. There's a lot of Knicks connections in this draft.
John Koncak also averaged.
Yeah. Oh, wow. There's a lot. Yeah, I didn't have much to say about Koncak. A lot of Knicks connections in this draft. Did you guys notice that? A lot of old guys ended up with the Knicks or were drafted by the Knicks.
Kenny Skywalker. Yeah.
Well, more notable than that, the guy that I was talking about that probably should have gotten drafted was Kenny Sears. So Kenny Sears is a guy I only know about.
I had him in blue. I had him highlighted as someone I could have picked. Yeah,
really, really good player. Drafted in 1955. Spent a lot of years with the Knicks. Put up some really nice numbers back when guys didn't score a whole lot.
Another guy who shot close to 50% from the field when it wasn't really done.
And then the other, forget about Kenny Walker, Dave Stallworth. Dave Stallworth was, not the most remembered part of the 1970 championship team, but Dave Stallworth was like, I got to look up where he ended up on my top 75, but he's somewhere in, I'm fairly certain he's somewhere in like top 30. Stallworth was a good Knick, and he was also probably most significantly known as part of the Earl Monroe trade. So, and
two things about him too. Like one, you mentioned about his role in 1970 team. Obviously, Willis Reed was not healthy throughout that finals, and Stallworth was the guy who had to guard Wilt when Reed wasn't in the game. So he played a huge role. Also, crazy story that he was actually out of the league for the 2 prior years because of a heart attack.
Yeah, he came back 2 years in his prime. Came back
for the 69-70 season, thankfully, and won a championship. So that's a pretty amazing story.
Yeah, so those are the only 2 guys that I wanted to shout out. Andrew, anything else that we forgot?
I cannot find John McConaughey's net worth.
That's a shame.
But that would have been the most important thing to come out of this.
Yes, it would have. He did make, by adjusted for inflation, about $20 million in his playing career, though. No, that's wrong. Regardless, there's a $20 million net worth next to his name. I'm done. I'm closing the tab on John McConaughey. The only players I thought had a chance to get drafted are actually, at least that are on my cheat sheet that I was considering because of their guard, their positional designation, because they're guards, was Darius Garland because he made an all-star team, and Mike Miller because he had some hardware.
I would say Purvis Short was another guy who he was drafted in 78, averaged 28 a game, and he like a really, really great scorer for a couple of years there. Could have been drafted. Otherwise, I think we got the next center I would have taken probably was LaSalle Thompson, honestly. Well, at least like a double-double guy for a couple of years.
Okay. Man, why do you hate Jonas Valanciunas?
Because he's can't play defense. That's why.
Wow. I'm gonna re-ask you. What do you?
I
think?
I did like
defense
to think
is important.
I did like to think about like if De'Aaron Fox was running around in like 1960.
What would that be like? Yeah,
like he would have been like
I looked at. Fox.
He would have been like the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, wait. We got to Walt Hazard or Hazard. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Get all your tidbits out.
I think it's Hazard.
Out of here.
Hazard.
Maybe
was
it's Hazard. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of the Dukes of Hazard.
I can't say. Definitely not the best Walt in this draft. However, he was part of the first undefeated UCLA season under John Wooden, pre-Lou Alcindor, and was an all-star with the Seattle expansion team in 1968. Averaged 24, 4, and 6. So another guy that could have maybe been drafted.
A lot of talent left on the board. This draft got pretty flat pretty quickly. I think I'll say that.
It was a really obvious top 5, and then it really dropped off. But that was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys, for indulging my insanity.
I hope we can eventually do what we intended to do this time, but couldn't because of scheduling issues, and have all 4 of us be a part of it. Me, you, and Andrew and Jeremy.
Here's what I'll say: the 6th pick. You want to talk about a drop off? I don't think there's enough players in the 6th pick to do one full draft. So maybe
that's my sweet spot. What do you mean? We'll go deep. We'll just go deep.
I personally don't want to do that kind of research on
any draft where there's a chance of me being able to draft the one and only Danilo Gallinari is a great day. And actually, I shouldn't even say that because there's zero question Gallinari would get drafted in that draft.
So I'm not even being like facetious here. Wally Zerbiak might be like a legitimate consideration if we just did a 6th pick draft.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe what we do is a 6th, 7th draft, and then you had a 4-person panel, so that way the voting body or the body is a little bit more.
I gotta say, we could just say it, like Larry Bird was taken 6th overall.
Yeah, and then Adrian Dantley, and then
so it's definitely a bit of a cheat, and another top 75 all-time player, or 2 top 75 all-time players. Adrian Dantley is not one of them. There are 2 top 75ers taken 6th overall. Jerry Lucas,
7 Hall of Famers, yes.
Jerry Lucas and Dame Lillard.
Yeah,
Dame Lillard was a farce.
Regardless of whether he was a farce or not, you want to talk about a farce? Getting to 3 forwards, 3 guards, and 3 centers in a cheat sheet is going to be difficult.
Red Kerr was taken 6th overall. I mean, come on, guys.
I am officially campaigning for us to do a 6th, 7th draft and adding a 4th person.
That's fine.
Deal.
All right.
Thank you.